Today's story comes from the Am I the A-hole relationship subreddit and was posted by Remote War 7356 and was titled, Am I the A-hole for cutting off my daughter after she slept with her sister's husband? I, 59 female, have two daughters, Emma, 35 female, and Chloe, 33 female. Emma has been married to her husband, 36 male, for 11 years, and they have two children together. Chloe has been married to her husband, 34 male, for 8 years, and they have one 5-year-old son. About 6 weeks ago, Emma called me just after midnight, completely hysterical. She told me she'd suspected for months that her husband was hiding something. He'd become distant, constantly guarded his phone, and was always finding excuses to stay late at work. That night, after he fell asleep beside her, she looked through his phone for the first time. She found years of explicit messages between him and Chloe. The affair had been going on for almost 4 years. Emma was devastated. She kept asking me how her own sister could do this to her. A few days later, we were at my brother's birthday party when Emma confronted Chloe outside. Chloe denied everything at first and insisted Emma had misunderstood. When Emma said she'd read the messages herself, Chloe completely fell apart. She started crying, admitted the affair, and kept repeating, "I don't know why I did it. I'm so sorry. It was the biggest mistake of my life." Emma asked how 4 years could possibly be a mistake. Chloe had no answer. The argument escalated into a screaming match. Chloe tried to slap Emma, but several relatives stepped in before she could. Chloe's husband quietly took their son home after realizing what had happened. Within days, he told Chloe he wanted a divorce. Emma also filed for divorce after her husband admitted everything. After it all came out, Chloe called me 82 times in one day. I answered once because I hoped she was calling to explain herself. Instead, she cried the entire time, begging me not to abandon her. She said she'd already lost her husband, was probably going to lose shared custody of her son, and couldn't bear losing her mother too. She said she knew she didn't deserve forgiveness, but begged me not to hate her forever. I told her I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I said this wasn't one bad decision. It was years of lying to her sister, her husband, and the rest of us. I told her I loved her because she's my daughter, but I didn't want contact with her for the foreseeable future. Since then, I've ignored every attempt she's made to reach out. This is where my family thinks I'm wrong. My sisters say Chloe has already lost everything. Her marriage, her relationship with her sister, many of her friends, and likely the family she dreamed of giving her son. They say she's genuinely remorseful, has started individual therapy, and isn't trying to justify what she did. They argue that if a mother won't stand by her child after they've hit rock bottom, who will? They also remind me that cutting Chloe off means my grandson is growing up without his grandmother, even though he's done nothing wrong. I understand all of that, but every time I think about welcoming Chloe back into my life, I picture Emma reading those messages alone in the middle of the night, realizing that two of the people she trusted most had been lying to her for years. I don't know if I can move past that. My family says I'm punishing Chloe forever for something she already deeply regrets. I feel like I'm simply refusing to pretend it never happened. Am I the a-hole? I know a lot of people are used to seeing cheating posts and always thinking they are fake, but what would you do if you were in my shoes? Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, not the a-hole. She's not genuinely remorseful. She's sad she got caught and is facing consequences. Can't you have a relationship with your grandson via his father? Tell your sisters to mind their own business. This is between you and your daughters, nothing to do with them. Hope replied, I can kind of have a relationship with him, but the problem is that he wants his child to grow up closer to his own family who lives in another city rather than his ex-wife's family. Commenter 2 says, I personally can't think of anything my kid would do that would cause me to cut her off permanently, but I would probably take a break for a while to organize my feelings. There is 10,000% nothing that could happen that would make me willing to cut off my grandkid. What Chloe did was unforgivable, but I would ask you, how would you feel if something happened to Chloe right now? How would you feel? If you don't feel anything, then you have your answer about what you want to do. Hope replied, it depends on what happens to her. If she is struggling with her mental health or got into an accident, I would obviously help her like a mother would. I admit I might have been harsh when I told her for the foreseeable future, but I was thinking of my daughter Emma and how she would be feeling right now. I love both my daughters equally from the moon and back, but I'm just torn in this decision. Commenter 3 says, "Not the a-hole. You have a daughter that has been completely destroyed by her own sister and her own husband. She's the one that needs your support. Not the one that chose to cheat on her husband with her own sister's husband. She made the conscious decision for 4 years. That's not forgivable in my eyes. She made the decision. She can face her own consequences. I'm sure her soon-to-be ex-husband will still allow you to be part of your grandson's life. Reach out to him and let him know you are not speaking to her. And just be there for Emma and her kids." Hope replied, "Thank you so much. I have reached out to him, but haven't heard anything back yet." Opie responded to a long comment on whether it is possible for Chloe to lose full custody of her son because she cheated. Hope replied, "She might not. Her ex-husband wants to move far away from all of this. He wants to move to his own side of the family, which lives in a different city. It would be hard for Chloe to be there for her son unless she moves with him or gets an apartment there, which I don't think she would unless she really wants to see her son." Commenter 4 says, "So she would rather lose her son than move to be near him? There is nothing on this earth that would have prevented me from fighting tooth and nail to keep my kids. How far away is his family? She can absolutely file an emergency stay order to keep the kids locally until custody is settled, and wrong by her or not. Most courts will put the children's needs first. Courts tend to prioritize joint custody regardless of what dad or mom thinks, unless one parent is willing to sign rights away. She needs a lawyer as soon as possible. If she is willing to walk away from her son without a fight, then he is better off without her. And that tells me a little bit more of her character, and it makes me even less sympathetic to her than I already was." Hope replied, "We are in Florida, and his family is in Washington." Commenter 5 says, "Not the a-hole. Chloe is only regretful because she's been caught. It's not like it was a one-time thing or even a couple months. It was 4 years. That requires active decision-making to not only continue the affair, but to hide it from her husband and her family. I think space right now is definitely needed. Try to find a way to stay in contact with your grandson's father. And I personally believe if you cut out Chloe that it may make things easier for your ex-son-in-law to trust and allow you to visit if he gets sole custody. She is an adult and has to live with her choices. I wouldn't be able to speak with my sibling if they did this to me. I think as a parent you love your child no matter what, and you still can. But I don't think you're the a-hole to cut contact with Chloe. Whether it is permanent or not is up to you. Chloe made this choice, and these are the consequences. She lost everything because her and Emma's husband destroyed each other's lives and marriages. That's the worst thing you could do to a sibling." Commenter 6 says, "Not the a-hole. This wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated and prolonged affair with the man her own sister loved and married. That's not to mention the betrayal to the man she herself married, which is a second level of despicable. Chloe isn't genuinely remorseful. She's genuinely wishing she hadn't obliterated her entire support circle in one fell swoop. She's crying that she has to face consequences. She would have kept it going for who knows how long if this had never come out. That she denied it at first is all you need to know she doesn't feel a shred of remorse. She just doesn't want to lose you along with everyone else in her life. Whether she does is entirely up to you. I personally could never look at my child the same way if they felt so utterly callous about betraying the two people she's supposed to love most in the world." Update 1. I know it's very early for me to post an update, and I wasn't planning on it, but after reading the comments on my first post, I decided I needed one final conversation with Chloe before I completely closed the door. I went to her house yesterday, and I expected her to be emotional after calling me 82 times in one day, but she was surprisingly calm. I asked her the one question I still couldn't understand. Why? She admitted she'd been attracted to Emma's husband for years. She said what started as admiration eventually became feelings, and over time they crossed the line. Instead of ending it, they kept convincing themselves it would be the last time. She insisted she regretted everything. I asked if she'd spoken to Emma. She told me the only contact she'd had was one text before Emma blocked her on everything. Emma told her she destroyed their family, taken away her children's stable home, and that she hoped the affair had been worth losing a sister forever because, as far as she was concerned, Chloe no longer had one. Emma blocked her immediately afterward. Chloe also admitted she later waited outside the school gates, hoping to speak to Emma when she came to collect the kids. Emma refused to speak to her, warned her to stay away from her and the children, and told her that if she ever approached them again, she'd regret it. Chloe left crying. I told Chloe her waiting outside the school was completely inappropriate, regardless of her intentions. She insisted she only wanted to apologize and prove she cared about Emma. I then asked if she truly felt remorse. That's when I completely lost my patience. Instead of taking full responsibility, Chloe started telling me Emma's marriage had already been falling apart, that Emma and her husband had been drifting apart for years, and that he often confided in her. She admitted the affair was wrong, but repeatedly tried to place part of the blame on Emma, saying if their marriage had been happier, none of this would have happened. I was furious. I honestly couldn't believe I had raised someone capable of thinking like that. I told her there is no marriage bad enough to justify secretly sleeping with your own sister's husband for 4 years. I told her I wasn't just disappointed. I was ashamed that she was my daughter. The more she tried to justify herself, the angrier I became. The conversation eventually turned to her own divorce. She talked about how difficult everything had been for her and how her husband still plans to move to Washington with their son to be closer to his family. She said she may have to move there too if she wants to stay close to him. As she spoke, I realized almost everything was about what she had lost: her marriage, her home, her reputation, and possibly seeing her son every day. Very little of it was about Emma or the damage she'd caused. At the end of the conversation, Chloe asked if we were cool now. I told her no. We were not cool, and we might never be. I said that if I ever found it in my heart to reconcile with her, it would be on my terms and in my own time. Not because she thought one conversation could erase 4 years of lies and betrayal. I walked out feeling angrier than when I arrived. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I love both of my daughters, but after that conversation, I'm not convinced Chloe truly understands the pain she's caused. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, "Why does the other woman always believe that my marriage is falling apart and I'm not actually close to my wife? Bullshit. Every single time. We all know this man would have happily remained in his marriage with his side chick's sister-in-law forever if Emma didn't find him out. Hell, he's probably begging Emma in texts to give him another chance, and that Chloe means nothing to him. Tale as old as time, but the women keep falling for it. Baffling." Hope replied, "I'm pretty sure there might be a final part 3. I'm not sure how many parts one can keep making before Reddit says otherwise. Emma and her husband did have some problems, but they were mostly, if not always, minor and nothing serious. I'm still trying to process how it was going on for 4 years without anyone knowing." Commenter 2 says, "I read the first post, and I still am confused at why Emma's husband's behavior changed all of a sudden if it was going on for 4 years. Why did he suddenly become cagey, defensive, and hiding his phone if it's been going on for the last 4 years?" Hope replied, "Because Emma was all of a sudden curious and had a feeling he was cheating on her. I think he sensed that and didn't want the secret to be found." Commenter 3 says, "Chloe and Emma's husband are still seeing each other and are now free to be together. Why did they stay in their marriages if they were so unhappy?" Hope replied, "Chloe told me that her and Emma's husband haven't talked since. She texted him, but he never responded." Commenter 4 says, "Not the a-hole. Chloe honestly sounds like a narcissist. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but I think it fits here. Think about it if you think I'm overreacting. In order to be able to cheat, you'll have to put your empathy for your partner and others who might be affected by it aside and let your ego win. Chloe had to do this multiple times for 4 years. Who knows how many times they cheated? It could be over 100 times, and Chloe had to put aside everyone's feelings in favor of her own. Her victims were her husband, sister, son, nieces/nephews, and mother. All of those are people she's supposed to love the most. The fact that she was able to do this over and over again to people she claims to love is honestly deeply disturbing. And then for her to only care about herself afterwards. Again, I think she's a narcissist. I do not think she truly has empathy. I think she can fake it, and I think she has done that all the time, but I don't think she actually has it. Maybe she thinks she does. She doesn't seem to feel guilt and remorse. She sounds incredibly entitled, and also delusional since she can't accept the fact that her relationship with her sister is over for good, and that your relationship with her will be forever affected in some type of way. She decided to break her sister's boundaries by showing up to her kids' school. Sorry, I think you just saw who your daughter actually is deep down. I would honestly be a bit scared of my child if they did this out of the blue. It would make me question what went wrong and what else they have done that I don't know about. But I'm also very scared of narcissists or just very selfish people in general. Those types of people can really do damage to you that lasts a lifetime. Thankfully, I've never had any experience with these people, but my God, they seem terrifying. What was her father like? Sorry if this is too personal. You don't have to answer. I'm just trying to figure out where she might get it from. I'm a little worried that your family is going too easy on her. I hope they aren't trying to guilt or shame Emma for not wanting to have anything to do with Chloe. Hope replied, my husband passed about 7 years ago, but when he was alive, he did give Chloe special treatment because she was the baby of the family. I treated both my daughters equally, and we often had fights about Chloe due to unfairness, etc. He would do things like make Emma share what was supposed to be hers and give half to Chloe, give Chloe bigger or better items because he didn't want to upset her. We did divorce later on due to something else unrelated, but that did play a huge part. I did try my best to be fair to both my kids, and I genuinely think I was. I'm not trying to blame my late husband here. I'm just saying what he was like. Update 2. I said after my last update that I'd come back one last time once things had settled down a bit. So this will be my final post. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my last 2 posts. I read and replied to more comments than I expected. Some of them were difficult to read, but they gave me a lot to think about. To answer the question I saw the most, Chloe's son is definitely her husband's. Chloe is white, her husband is black, and their son is mixed race, so there was never any question about that. The divorces are still going ahead. Nothing has been finalized yet, but neither couple is trying to work things out anymore. A lot of people also asked about my sisters. Yes, they knew about the affair before Emma found out. They admitted they stayed quiet because they thought it was a family matter and hoped it would end before anyone got hurt. I understand why they thought that, but I can't agree with it. Emma spent years being lied to while people around her knew the truth. I've decided to cut both of my sisters out of my life. I don't know if that will be forever, but they have broken my trust. Over the last few weeks, I've spoken to both of my daughters separately. I asked Emma if enough time had passed for her to even think about talking to Chloe. She said no. She told me she isn't waking up angry anymore, but that doesn't mean she's forgiven her. She said she accepted that the truth was always going to come out eventually. The only thing she could control was what she did after she found out. She also said she has no interest in having a sister anymore. As for her husband, she told me she's made one thing very clear. She'll only respond if it's about the children or the divorce. Everything else gets ignored. What surprised me was that he hasn't stopped trying. He's sent long apology messages, videos about forgiveness, and even Bible verses. None of us are religious, so that confused all of us. He keeps saying she was the only woman he's ever loved and that he made one terrible mistake. Emma hasn't replied to any of those messages. I also found out something Chloe never told me. In my last update, I said Chloe told me the only message Emma sent before blocking her was that she was no longer her sister. That wasn't true. Emma later showed me the messages. Before Emma sent that final text, Chloe had blamed her for what happened. She told Emma that maybe if she'd paid more attention to her marriage, things would have been different. She also said that if her husband had felt happier at home, he wouldn't have looked somewhere else. Reading those messages made me feel sick. When I confronted Chloe, she admitted she'd sent them. She said she was angry, desperate, and trying to make herself feel less guilty. She told me she regretted sending them almost immediately, but by then Emma had already blocked her. Chloe also told me she's moving to Washington once everything is finalized, so she can stay close to her son. But in Florida, They allow divorced families to stay, so I don't know why his father is planning to move there to be closer to his family, and Chloe doesn't want to be too far away from her child. She admitted she tried contacting Emma's husband after everything came out, but he never answered any of her messages. She eventually stopped trying. She also told me she knows she'll never get her old life back, but she hopes moving will give her a chance to start over. I told her that starting over doesn't erase what happened. She agreed. A lot of people asked if I've forgiven Chloe. I haven't. I still love her because she's my daughter, but I don't trust her anymore, and right now we don't have a relationship. Maybe that changes one day. Maybe it doesn't. I honestly don't know. This whole situation has changed our family forever. Emma lost her husband and her sister. Chloe lost her marriage, her relationship with her sister, and most of her family. My sisters lost me because they chose to stay quiet. This will be my last update. I hope one day all of us can find some peace, even if we never become a family again. If I missed out some details, I will respond in the comments. Thank you, Reddit. The second story is from Am I the A-hole subreddit. It was posted by Mowgli1989 and was titled, Am I the A-hole for refusing to give my Switch account to my kid's dad? My kid, 16, lives with her dad quite a few states away in the USA. For her birthday this year, my brother gave her a Switch. Before any of this happened, I reached out to her father to make sure he would be okay with the gift because he's pretty intense about internet surveillance. She's 16 and doesn't have a browser on her phone or the ability to get any apps. I don't agree with any of this, but alas, she lives with him and continues to want to. Anyways, we got the go-ahead that she could have the Switch, so I set her up with my old Switch account in order to not have to rebuy some of the games I already owned, and then I purchased quite a few more. Ideally, I was planning for us to share the account by setting up her Switch as the primary and then buying myself one somewhere down the line and setting it up as the secondary. Now that she's home, I'm being told that her father is demanding to have ownership of the Switch account. I am fuming. I was not told that this was a condition of her having this device. If I had been, I would not have given her my personal Switch account that has my banking info, my personal email, my everything attached to it. Essentially, to me, it seems he's looking to make this gift my brother and I got for her into his new family's Switch rather than a gift that belongs to our daughter alone. He has more children with his new wife. The part that sucks is he's apparently threatening to take it away from her without the transfer to his email account. She's obviously panicking, and I don't want this to result in her losing her favorite birthday gift, but am I being unreasonable for saying fuck this? It's so unreasonable from where I'm standing. That said, I don't want to ruin her birthday gift. Ugh. Please hit me with perspective. Verdict: not the a-hole. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, she's 16 years old. Why is she still going? Go to court and have her explain exactly why she doesn't want to go anymore. Dad sounds like a terrible douche. Ope replied, I have offered. She wants to stay with her siblings. She loves her family, but yet 16, I would absolutely have wanted out of there. She doesn't. Commenter 2 says, nope, OP, have them restore factory settings to the device, and then Dad can buy the games himself. Do not give him ownership of something linked to your digital identity. Commenter 3 says, he's fine to obsess over his own privacy and his daughter's to some insane degrees, and then blatantly shows no respect for OPs? Essentially, to me, it seems he's looking to make this gift my brother and I got for her into his new family's Switch rather than a gift that belongs to our daughter alone. He has more children with his new wife. By intention or not, he's going to achieve the same end goal. He's trash. Ope replied, thank you for articulating what I've been feeling. OP on the possibility of her daughter staying with her father in order to protect her siblings due to his controlling behavior. Ope replied, I really hope this isn't true, but I have asked. We just spent a few weeks together, and we had another non-related issue regarding her father's anger. And I asked straight up if she was afraid of him and explained that it scares me how much she does not want to upset him. She is very adamant that it's not anything I should be worried about, but obviously I am. I am a naive person. I will admit that very willingly. But what am I meant to do when the person you're trying to protect is too young to really know her own mind, while you're equally trying to respect their rights as an individual despite their age? Parenting is so hard. Opie explains the reason why her daughter started to live with her father. Hope replied, "People really do not like when children don't live with their mom. It's honestly so hypocritical, but I can't change society. But thank you for standing up for me. I appreciate it. And for anyone who thinks I'm a negligent parent because I'm a non-custodial mother, she only started living with her dad so I could go to college. The thing we're told we're meant to do. Yeah, my kid calls me 27 times a day. She's my closest friend and my only priority." Hope replied, "It sucks. She started living with him when I went to university, and then he had a bunch more kids, and she ultimately decided she wanted to stay with her family unit. He and I have never lived in the same place, though, ironically, because we met playing World of Warcraft in 2007. She was always going to be with one of us full-time and visit the other, and I got the short end of the stick, unfortunately." Opie on her ex's obsession over their daughter's internet usage and the ages at the time when Opie met her ex. Hope replied, "He's so intense about it, because frankly he knew what he was doing then. I don't want to bash him because that's not what this post is about, but I was 19 and he was 27. Commenter 4 says, "Not the a-hole. And she's choosing to live with him? Your account is just that. Yours. If he wants control of an account, he can start one and pay for games." Hope replied, "Yes, she doesn't want to leave her siblings. She loves her family too. Obviously he's a pain in the ass, but she doesn't want to move 5 states away from her siblings, which I understand. It sucks for me, but ultimately I won't try and do anything she doesn't want regarding custody." Opie responds to a comment about bringing her daughter home to live with her and the reason for Opie to send her daughter to live with her father. Hope replied, "I would in a heartbeat if she wanted it. I've told her many times that the second she asks, I will do everything in my power to bring her home, but she wants to be at her high school with her friends and with her siblings. She's in all the clubs, choir, speech, theater, etc. Taking her away because it's what I want to do isn't fair. But I'm waiting for the day that she asks. I'll literally rent a 2-bedroom for just myself in anticipation." Hope replied, "She isn't unsafe. To be clear, he is a perfectly capable parent. She is clearly choosing to stay. I was in my 20s and my subsidized childcare was revoked during my first semester of university, and my only option was to send her to her dad or quit school. With hindsight, I can see now that he was too old for me, and sometimes I wish I had quit school and done things differently, but I was doing the best I could at the time with what I knew then, and sometimes things just suck." Opie on the possibility of moving to be closer to her daughter and not having to draw up a custody battle. Hope replied, "If I moved closer and fought for partial custody, he would make everyone miserable, and he has enough money to make it extremely difficult. I grew up in a family where there was a custody battle that was extremely disruptive for many years, and I don't want that for her on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, the only scenario in which I would go to court is for full custody, and that's only if she asked me to." Hope replied, "Unfortunately, that would make things way harder. His wife refuses to acknowledge my existence to this day, and they have been married for 10 years. If we had to do any kind of in-person handoffs on a regular basis, they would absolutely make my life and everyone else's lives hell." Commenter 5 says, "Not the a-hole. He is being unreasonable and a prick. A father shouldn't threaten their child for his own gain. Also, 16 is way too old for this kind of digital embargo." Hope replied, "I agree. All she wants to do is watch Smosh. She's a good kid. It honestly drives me insane that he makes everything so difficult for both of us, but most importantly for her. She should be allowed to watch her favorite YouTube show and play video games, for fuck's sake." Opie on what her daughter's father's reason is for wanting access. Hope replied, "I have to assume it's a weird control move, which is his modus operandi. He already makes them all plug their devices into a central hub in the house at 8 p.m., so he has control over when she uses it anyways. I genuinely think he's just being a fucking asshole and changing the conditions after the fact to suit him. He has been a nightmare to co-parent with from day one, and most of the time, I just try to keep the peace to my own detriment, because I want her to be happy, but this time I feel like he's taking it too far. I can't imagine a scenario in which I would ask him for his account to something with a straight face. Like who does that? Oh, I need your Apple account so I can monitor our child. He already has systems in place to make sure she can't use it outside of approved times. Opie responds to a long comment about the options that she can provide and protect her own account, but can share with her daughter if she selects to make a new account where the father can access with controls. Opie replied, I think that second option is what I'm going to attempt. He can make her another account that he controls and hopefully leave my account on the device as well, so she can still play the games I bought her. I cannot see how he comes up with a way to dispute that, but knowing him, it's possible. Wish me luck. Commenter 6 says, teach your baby girl about men and control, regardless of who it is in the relationship. I hope she doesn't see what her father does as acceptable behavior from partner. Hope replied, I'm honestly very impressed with her and Gen Z in general on their ability to read through bullshit. I think she is pretty well-rounded on her thoughts about control, etc. in relationships. But I will be continuing to have those types of conversations with her likely for as long as I live. Her dad and I both want to protect her at all costs. We just have wildly different methods. Update. I don't have a huge update, but since quite a few people asked, her dad hasn't taken her Switch away. She called me frantically asking for me to just do it, so she could keep her Switch, and I told her that I wasn't saying no, but that her dad would have to personally ask me himself. I couldn't imagine a scenario in which he could reasonably justify asking for such a thing. Turns out I was right. He has not asked because he knows it's insane. The worst part about this, though, is that it means he was bullying her to get his preferred outcome, but never had any intention of following through. And then, though, she gets to keep her Switch, so I guess it's a win. Thanks to everyone for all of the perspective and advice. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 says, so what actually happened? You don't make it clear to me. Hope replied, I told my daughter to tell her dad that if that is what he wants, he has to ask me himself. He has not done so, and he has not taken her Switch away. I prefaced it with it's not a big update, more just a confirmation that her dad is a bully. Commenter 2 says, I hate when parents put kids in the middle. Good on you for saying he needs to request it himself and not through her.